Good morning, everyone. I continue to talk on this text, opening the hand of thought. Last time I gave a talk was January 28th, so a long time ago. And I was going to talk on the same paragraphs, 2 paragraphs, but I think I didn't talk about anything about what is written in this paragraph. So I repeat the same 2 paragraphs. Since last summer, I don't give Sunday Dharma talks so often. I was out of town for a lot of times, and also when I need to make preparation for Genzo-e, I try not to give a talk. This is the plan we made means Hoku and I made that. So now not only me, but Hoku and other people give a Dharma talk on Sundays, so you can hear really English Dharma talk. And also from different perspective. I'm talking from my Japanese background, but American teachers can give offer the Dharma from different perspective, and I think it's all good for all of you and all of us, me too. Anyway, so today I talk the last paragraph of page 129, if we have this book. Let me read 2 paragraphs. If we take a fresh look through our Zazen and practice living out the reality of fresh and immediate life, then it will be clear to anyone that whatever happens, there is nothing outside of living out self that is only self. This is what is called magnanimous mind, the attitude that never discriminates. Without discriminating in terms of I like that, I don't like that, I want that, I don't want this. Since everything I encounter lies within my life experience, I look on everything equally as my life. My life is not limited to the physical pulsation of my heart, the movement of my heart. My life is in every experience, that is everywhere life functions. Every way I encounter life manifesting as life. This is my life experience. This is why in Buddhism, self settling on itself is the same as the universe settling on itself. The magnanimous mind of a bodhisattva sees the self as one with the universe. And since everything we encounter is our life, we seek to manifest that life, regardless of what it is or what happens, without discrimination. With this magnanimous mind, which throws out the thoughts of the small self and ceases to discriminate, it becomes clear that my whole world, appears before me as my present circumstances, the scenery of my life, the content of my own self, that is also the whole self. This is exactly the same as in Zazen, where all the thoughts that come and go are the scenery of Zazen. This book was written, I think, early 70s, right around the time I was ordained by my teacher, Uchiyama Rōshi. So from the very beginning I practiced with him. I read this book. And since then, almost 50 years, I have been studying and practicing Zazen, following his instructions. And I'm one of the translators of this book. So this is really important book to me. And what I'm doing and what I'm talking is based on what I studied from my teacher. So I think this is a really good text to talk about. This text means to talk about myself. Anyway, in this part of this book, Uchiyama Rōshi is talking about the meaning or significance of Zazen practice within the modern civilization. And first he talked about the meaning of Zazen. I cannot repeat, it takes more than 1 hour. And in this part he is talking about, based on our Zazen practice, what kind of attitude we should maintain within our life, not only in Zendo or in a temple, but in our daily lives, in our society or in this world. And Uchiyama Rōshi talks about that attitude we should maintain within our life. He talks based on Dogen Zenji's teaching about sanshin. And to me, this is really important teaching. So when I incorporate my Sangha, I named Sanshin Zen Community. So this Zen community is about this teaching. 3. Shin is heart or mind. And the sign is 3. So in English there must be some, we should say 3 minds, but I don't like 3 minds because this is 3 aspects of 1 mind. That's why I keep Sanshin as Japanese instead of calling 3 minds. And anyway, those 3 are, first is Daishin, second is Rōshin, and third is Kishin. Now, in this part, Uchiyama Rōshi is talking about Daishin. Daishin is literally big mind. And we translate this as a magnanimous mind. And the second one is Rōshin. Rō means old or matured. So, and Dogen Zenji called this as a mind of parents. Mind of parents to take care of their children. And third is Kishin. This is a joyful mind. When we are kid, we expect everyone take care of me, and if no one take care of me, or I'm not taken in a way I expect, I just cry or complain. But people who have parental mind of parent, can find a joy within helping others or making offerings. That is, I think the difference between when we are kids and when we become matured. So those are three attitudes we should maintain. And now Uchiyama Rōshi is talking about magnanimous mind. And Dogen said about this magnanimous mind as a mind like a mountain, huge mountain. Mountain is immovable, it doesn't move, and yet mountain allows all different kind of plants and animals stay within there without rejection or any discrimination. A huge tree or tiny grass or even tiny, very unseen living beings can be there. And also Dogen said magnanimous mind is like the mind of the great ocean. From the time of Shakyamuni Buddha, Buddhist Sangha is called ocean. That means Buddha accepts anyone from any class of the society to be Sangha members without discrimination. And once they become a member of the Sangha, there's no such discrimination based on the social classes from where those people came from. The only kind of a classification in Buddhist Sangha is seniority. How many years the person has practicing within this Sangha. Anyway, so now Uchiyama Rōshi is talking about this magnanimous mind, that is a mind without discrimination. Of course, when we take care of children, we have to make discrimination. We have to think what is good thing for the children and what is not so good thing. So we have to make distinction and make choice. So magnanimous mind doesn't work alone. These three should work together. So we need to be careful about that. But basically this great mind or big mind or magnanimous mind is mind of Zazen. Suzuki Shunryu Roshi's famous book is Zen Mind and Beginner's Mind. And this Zen mind is same as this magnanimous mind, without discrimination, and include self and others as one. But beginner's mind is a mind as an individual. We have to develop our service and our practice. So we have to make effort to do so. To make effort, we should make distinction and also make choice. So these two things, without making choice or making discrimination, and yet on that basis we have to make distinctions and make choice, which is better or which is more healthier or wholesome. So these two sides are really important. Anyway, last time I talked was, this is Uchiyama Rōshi's manga about the self. And in this book, the same, he starts from we are living an individual life. Each one has different life, and each one has one's own world. And he said, there's a kind of a characteristic of human life is we have language, using words and letters. So by using language, we communicate and we think we understand each other. And somehow we create the world of language in which, in order to create a society, we need some system, and we need some system of values. So when human beings create or form societies using important tools, using language as important kind of tools, Uchiyama thought there are two things happened. One is kind of a common value system. To live in the society, we think something is important, such as wealth, or social position, or power, or all that things are good, and the opposite is bad. So we share this value system, and everyone try to go that way, and no one want to stay here. If we have to stay here, we think our life is a failure, or it's not worth to live. So we all need to go somewhere, the upper part of higher class in the society. That is what is Uchiyama wrote this side. That means we always, all of us chase after something we want, something valuable. That makes our life competition with other people, whether we can be successful or not. If everyone can be successful, then we don't call it successful. So successor is a small number of people, and loser are much larger people. That is how the common society is working even today. And another thing, according to Uchiyama Rōshi, another thing happened in that society using language is some people have certain way of viewing things or thinking or philosophy, and other people have opposite or different idea, and they start to fight or argue based on the religions or social systems or any kind of idea. Somehow we start to have a conflict, and we discuss and even argue or conflict or sometimes fight each other. That is what is caused by as a result of we formed the society using language as a main tool to communicate and understand and educate. So it's not something avoidable as far as we live in the society as a human beings. But this system is problematic because, as I said, there are competition. Our life become competitive. We want to be compete with others and become winner. Otherwise, our life become a failure. Or we feel those people are bad or not good or evil. So we should fight against those people. in Buddhism that is called Ashura, or spirit, hungry spirit, not hungry but fighting spirit. So fighting against something becomes the purpose of our life, or become winner, compete and become a winner is the purpose of our life. Those way of life doesn't make us happy and our life peace and stable. We need to always chase after something, or compete with others, or fight against others. That is not a peaceful life. And that is a, I think, problem Buddha had. Buddha was a prince of a small kingdom. And in his time, India, in the history of India, that was a kind of a process of small clan or small kingdom, how can I say, united by the larger kingdoms. So if Shakyamuni stayed in his kingdom as a king, somehow he had to fight against other clans. And because he was a very great person, he could be a great king of that kingdom. But somehow he didn't like that way of life. Instead of becoming a king, he became a beggar. He left, all the privileges he had as a prince, and he left home and started and tried to find a foundation of the peaceful life without suffering. And he found so-called Dharma, and he continued to be a beggar, and that means he received food and other necessary things from lay people, and he offered the teachings. So his way of life was very different from the life of competition and fighting. So he found another way of life, and many people appreciate his teachings. That's why Buddhism became a very important spiritual tradition in India at his time for many centuries. And one thing very interesting to me was, in the Indian history, almost entire India was united by King Ashoka, who lived about 100 years after Shakyamuni's death. King Ashoka united the entire India and established a big empire. To do so, he had to fight so many times, and one time he found, fighting or making war was so cruel. So one time he became tired of this way of life. So after he became the emperor, his empire was established, he became a Buddha's student. So it's really kind of interesting to me. There are two ways of life. One is so-called worldly way of life, in which we have to compete with others and fight against others, and we need to become winners. And Buddha's life is, there's no competition and no success or failure. We just live peacefully together with all beings. And I think that is main point of Buddhist teachings. And what Uchiyama Rōshi, Dogen Zenji and Uchiyama Rōshi thought is to make this change. We cannot escape from the human society. Even Shakyamuni lived part of the society, but based on different principles. And we also need to live in the part of the society. And yet we want to find a peaceful, stable foundation of our life. In a way, we don't need to live with competition or fighting, and always chasing after things. So we have to always run after something we want, or escaping from something. That is samsara. So how can we find a peaceful and harmonious, stable foundation of our life? I think it is a basic point. And Uchiyama Rōshi wrote kind of a caricature of our life, our Zazen practice. This is a person sitting, and in our mind, still, this, things as worldly life in samsara is going on as our thought. We still think, how can we be better, or that kind of things. And we also see how people live in the society. So we are not, we don't escape from the society, but we need to keep how people live. And yet when we sit and letting go of thought, this thought are the thought of using language, words and concept and discrimination. But those are still coming and going in our mind, but we don't grasp. We open our hand and let go. That means those thoughts, those discrimination are there, but as I always said, but we don't think. Thoughts are coming and going, but we don't think. That means we don't take actions based on those languages. So during Zazen, we are free from that kind of karma of competition and fighting and desire to be successful, to live successful life. But we find a peace and harmony, at least at this moment, here and now. To me, or to Dogen Zenji and Uchiyama Rōshi, this is really important and precious practice. This can be almost like a pivotal point of living in samsara. Somehow we have to continue to live in samsara, and yet we can discover and maintain the peaceful, harmonious, stable foundation. And when we continue to practice, the final caricature Uchiyama Rōshi wrote is this one. This is he wrote a circle and a person. And he said, this is self, and this is entire world, or and so self and the entire world are one thing. Everything within this world is part of me. That is what Dogen, not Dogen, but Uchiyama Rōshi called a magnanimous mind. We don't, that is what he is writing here in the beginning of this paragraph. That is, if we take a fresh look through our Zazen, Zazen means letting go of thought, and practice living out the reality of fresh and immediate life. This fresh and immediate life is Uchiyama Rōshi's expression of the reality before in his expression, before cooking, before being cooked with our thinking. Maybe we can say before being processed through our thinking mind. That is the reality itself. Even though within our thought, those things happening is interpreted within my personal system of value or picture of the world. And yet when we sit, we let go of that picture of the world or system of value and just being here, right here now, here and now. That is what Uchiyama Rōshi called reality of fresh and immediate life. That means before separation between me and others. Then it will be clear to anyone that whatever happens, there is nothing outside of living out self that is only self. So we are living within the world, and there are many other beings, and things are always happening. But Uchiyama said, this is our life. So this entirety is our life, including other beings and things happening day after day. And he said, this is what is called magnanimous mind. Me and other beings are living together. And from as a my life, this is my life, not only this five aggregate, because five aggregate are connected with all beings. Without the support with other beings, these five beings cannot exist as an individual being. I think it's really clear, and if you study Buddhism, this is the first thing you may study from Buddhist books. That is, five skandhas are always coming and going and changing. It's impermanent. There's no fixed identity that can exist without relation with others. We cannot live as an individual being without air or water or food or other people's help. Other people's help included, even the language we use to create very selfish idea. Even that language is a gift from the society. Without studying the language within family life or social life or school education, we cannot even think using egocentric idea. So to be egocentric, we need help from others. So that is what Uchiyama Rōshi is calling magnanimous mind, to see this reality through our Zazen practice. We see there's no such me or self, but we are all connected with other beings, or in a sense, there's nothing other than the relation with others. So if we really understand, not understanding as a concept, when we hear this kind of read this kind of teaching, we start to think, and it becomes another concept. we have to practice. That is the point of Dogen and Uchiyama Rōshi, and also Buddha. Without discriminating in terms of I like that, I don't like this, I want that, I don't want this. That is what always happening in our mind. But when we see this entire total reality, we can see this doesn't make sense, makes so much sense, and yet it's necessary to take care of our body and mind. But it's necessary, and yet it causes problems in our human life. Anyway, since everything I encounter means everything around us, lies within my life experience. So this is my life experience. When we translate this word life experience, Uchiyama Rōshi used sei, mei, tai, ken. Another Japanese expression that can be translated as a life experience is seikatsu, kei ken. Ken is the same. When Uchiyama Rōshi, this expression seimei taiken, seimei is life, and taiken is experience, and seikatsu is also, it's a kind of difficult to translate into English. Seikatsu is also life, but seikatsu is a life in terms of day-to-day life. So in our daily lives we have different kind of experience, and by experience those things, somehow we create some kind of value system and picture of the world. And I like this or I hate that. That is common meaning of seikatsu keiken, that create our kind of a karma. But when Uchiyama Rōshi uses this word seimei taiken, seimei is not our day-to-day livelihood, but seimei is life itself. It's a common as animal life, plants, and much tiny micro beings. All are, let's say, mei. But seikatsu means our social life. So seikatsu taiken means that whether we, what kind of family we are born, and what kind of education we had, and what kind of experience in that society. Then all those entirety of those experiences make this person's personality or characters. But when Uchiyama Rōshi using this seimei taiken, it's not that. That he said the same life, our life is experience with others, because we cannot live without relation with others. So our life is our experience. So please understand this difference. It might be difficult to clearly understand, and it's difficult to me to explain clearly what is the difference. So my life, so everything I encounter is my life experience. That is our life, and this life, this experience is me. I look on everything equally as my life. My life is not limited to the physical pulsation of my heart. That means my life is not this function of these 5 skandhas. My life is in every experience that is everywhere with life functions. So whatever happening in this kind of a relation between self and others, and in Genjo Koan, Dogen Zenji call this self, and this myriad dharmas, self and myriad dharmas. And the important point is self is a part of myriad dharmas. It's not self is here and observing the myriad dharmas, but we are right within myriad dharmas. So this means part of myriad dharmas are seeing the myriad dharmas, always from inside. So every way I encounter life manifesting as life. That is my life experience. That is my life. That is why in Buddhism, self-settling on itself is such as, in very old Buddhist scriptures, like Dhammapada or Stanipata, Buddha said, self is only foundation or master of the self. No one else can be the master or foundation, or something we can rely on beside the self. So that, and also we need to take refuge in Dharma and take refuge in self. So this self is not this collection of 5 aggregate, but this self connected with all beings. So in our Zazen, we just settle self settling on itself. This is the in Sawaki Rōshi's expression. This is selfing the self, no others. And this selfing the self, or self that is only self, can mean both the first one, in which self is really self. There's no way to share anything with others. That is one meaning of self, that is only self. And another meaning is this final one, that is, this is the self, so there's no others. This is also called self, that is only self. So for many years, it was not clear to me, so I didn't really understand when Uchiyama Rōshi used this expression, self that is only self. Can mean this individual self, or this self together with all beings. But he means both. That is a problem. So he said, this is why Buddhism, self-settling on itself, self-settling on itself is the same as the universe settling on itself. When I'm quiet, I'm calm down and peaceful, this entirety of my life experience calm down. And that influences the entire world. At least that is what happened with Shakyamuni. Shakyamuni first sat down under the Bodhi tree and he settled down on that basis. From that point, even before he started to teach, his awakening or his peacefulness influenced to entire world. And within the history, I think if Buddhism has not existed in the human world, I think human world must be very different. So in a sense, one person's awakening under the body tree, I think, change the entire history of human spirituality. So we are not like Shakyamuni, we are not so great people, but if our practice is same as Shakyamuni's, then our practice is also influenced to others or this entirety. At least when I settle down and become free from my desire to be satisfied my desires and be free from that kind of self-clinging, then this entire life in which we are the center is settled down, and that influence to others. The magnanimous mind of a bodhisattva sees the self as one with the universe, and since everything we encounter is our life, we seek. I'm not sure this English word seek is the right word, right translation or not. The word Uchiyama Rōshi used in Japanese is negau. Negau means wish or vow. Can seek mean such things? Seek also can mean I want that, so I seek that. So there's some kind of object, and I try to reach that thing. But negau is part of the word seigan, that is bodhisattva vow. So, as Uchiyama Rōshi said, this vow has no goal, no object. This is, there is a direction we need to go, or we want to go, but there's no goal. Please?
Could we maybe say that we aspire to and seek?
Aspire, that might be good. Aspire, or vow, or wish. Mm-hmm. So we wish to manifest that life regardless of what it is or what happens. So in whatever situation we try to take a step toward that direction of self-settling within self and the universe settling in itself. And next paragraph. With this magnanimous mind, which throws out the thought of the small self and ceases to discriminate, it becomes clear that my whole world appeared before me as my present circumstances. The scenery of my life, this is the scenery of my life. The content of my life, of my own life, that is also the whole self. This is exactly the same in Zazen, where all the thoughts that come and go in our Zazen are the scenery of Zazen. So even when we are sick, there are sceneries. Something, positive thought, negative thought, or our wish to help others, or our desire to satisfy my desire. All those things are happening here. But at least when we are sitting, we let go of all of them and do nothing, or refrain from doing anything but sitting. That is the meaning of our Zazen practice, in which it's not a matter of when we sit in this way, we can visualize something like this, universal self, or something, or we can understand as a concept or object. Actually, we need to let go even what Uchiyama Rōshi is writing here, or what Shakyamuni said when we are sitting. But within this, just sitting without doing anything, this reality manifests itself. And in our daily lives, we need to study this kind of teachings and and try to understand what this really means in the reality of our life, and we try to do it. So that is the relation between our practice in the Zendo and our practice outside the Zendo. It's 11:05. Let me introduce one thing. Dogen Zenji wrote. This is very poetic, but he's Saki, not Saki, I'm sorry, Dogen Zenji express the same reality in a very poetic way. This is a part of Genjo Koan. If you are familiar with Genjo Koan, this is paragraph 11 in my translation. He's talking about fish and bird. He said, when a fish swims, no matter how far it swims, it doesn't reach the end of the water. So we are like a fish swimming in the water, but we never reach the end of the water. When a bird flies, no matter how high it flies, it cannot reach the end of the sky. So we are limited individual. Therefore, the fish and the bird have never left the water or the sky since ancient times. So we are always inside. We cannot get out of the world. When the bird's need or the fish's need is great, the range is large. When the need is small, the range is small. Like a small bird, like a sparrow, only know around this area, but the big bird can fly very high in the sky, so their range might be different. Or tiny fish and big fish, whale is not a fish, but it seems very different, and yet both tiny bird or a big bird flies the entire sky, and tiny fish and big fish swim in the entire water. So we are together with this entire universe. In this way, each fish and each bird uses the whole of space and vigorously act in every place. Whether the range is small or large, we actively make function. However, if a bird departs from the sky or a fish leaves the water, it immediately dies. So there is no way to get out of this universe. We should know that for a fish, water is life. For a fish, water is entire ocean is life. And for a bird, sky is life. Entire sky is life of bird. A bird is life. A bird is life. A fish is life. And life is a bird. Life is a fish. So this entirety is life. And we are part of it, one living beings. But for each and every being, this entirety is life. I think this, what Uchiyama Rōshi is saying here, and Dogen wrote in a very poetic way is the same thing, how we are living together with all beings. So, to settle down within the self means to settle down with this entire world. Well, it's already 11:10. Today we have a World Peace Ceremony, and after that we have a memorial service for Shizue Matsuda, who Matsuda-san regularly came to this temple when he was in her 80s. And one time she considered to receive the precept here, but she didn't, because she was born in Hawaii as a Japanese American, and before World War II started, she went back to Japan and lived in Hiroshima. So she was a survivor of atomic bombing in Hiroshima. But when American army came to Hiroshima, they surprised she spoke very good English. So she had some connection with American army, maybe did some work for them. Probably because of that she came to this country again and went to Columbia University, I think. And I think she was one of the first Japanese women who attained the PhD in American University. Anyway, so she was a very close friend of this Sangha, but she passed away in December 16th. She was 97 years old. And also she worked at a library in IU for many years, for 30 years also. So I'd like to express our friendship and love to her and respect to her. So if you can, please stay.